Good evening to you. So I just got ready to set up the live video, it was all set, and all of a sudden the heavens just opened, had the heaviest rain ever, so I had to quickly try and change location and see if it would make a difference. And then the rain stopped, so I've started again, and now here comes the rain again. But I'm just going to keep going this time, and hopefully you guys can hear me. If it gets a bit too much, then do just say, and I will disconnect and try again a bit later when the rains stop. So I will try and keep this in between rain showers. If you're joining me live, a very warm welcome to you from the not so sunny south coast today, but equally lovely nonetheless. And if you're watching back on the replay, do feel free to get involved. Let me know that you're here joining in, and it's great to have you on board. So I want to talk to you this evening really briefly about the power of small steps, because all the time we want instant results, we want instant access to things, we want everything to happen quickly. You know, when people change their lives, they want to be able to see the results immediately. They want to be able to do that thing that they've suddenly decided they want to learn to do. You know, I recently took up knitting, started to teach myself knitting, and it would have been very easy for me to get frustrated early on because I wasn't very good, and actually I hadn't really learnt the skills that I needed to be effective yet. So there's this whole thing about people wanting to get everything now. Hopefully this rain isn't going to be too loud, just let me know if it is, and I'll do something. I'll have to move or something. But there's this whole thing about wanting everything now and getting instant results, and for me that is just not realistic. It is about the power of small steps, and that will give you that consistency. Can you let me know if you're watching on this live, if you're hearing this and how bad the rain is, whether you can still hear me or not? That would be very helpful. So I want to talk about the power of small steps. And I actually did a little blog on this, which is on the website, maybe last week, the week before, the power of small, because I believe it is all about the small steps that we take, that when we take the right steps, we place our energy and effort into the right actions that are going to bring us those results. Those are the things that are going to make the difference. But too often we're putting our energy and effort into things that are not going to make a difference, or we're taking the wrong actions. We're just not focused on how we're going to do those things to bring about the right results. Sometimes we're focusing on the things that are undermining us, those unhealthy habits, instead of focusing on the things that are actually going to bring us closer to what it is we want. And for me, I wanted to talk a little bit about this in a kind of live context. So when I decided to launch this online program, I started with effectively blank sheet of paper. I had my ideas and I had them mapped out, and you know, I had some sticky notes and some notes and things like that. And I decided that I wanted to move away from the kind of one-page worksheets that I did last year, and I wanted to create a workbook, something that people could have on them that would be really meaty, really lots of substance to it, and something that when you look back in a few months, you could see how far you'd come and how much progress you'd made. So I had this idea about creating a workbook for the Focus on Me online program, which was really, really exciting. But effectively, I started with a blank sheet of paper, and it was quite overwhelming. I kind of knew what I wanted to put down on paper, and it would have been really easy for me to just think, this is too big. You know, what am I doing? Maybe I'll just put my 6 worksheets together in a little pamphlet and that'll be it. But instead, I committed to creating this amazing workbook that was going to really partner with the live content in the online course, the videos that I've got in there, and really help you to accelerate on your journey. So where did I start? Well, of course, and it's backwards, but I started with front page. And that was kind of my cover sheet. And I really just started very small and listed out the sections that I wanted to create in there. Oh, good, you can hear me fine. Thank you, that's a relief. I can see another massive, massive grey cloud coming over now, so we'll just see what happens. Now, I got myself kind of in a bit of a pickle about this. What order do I want things to go in? Because the things that I'm talking to you about in the online program, they do interweave. They kind of weave around each other. Some of them are framed by others, and they do all align together. So it was a bit of a difficult decision about how do I help this to flow so that you guys can make sense of it. And I could have really easily allowed that to stop me in my tracks and to kind of put me into a state of overwhelm and not actually take any action at all. But instead, what I did is I got the sticky notes out and I started mapping things out. And I actually started building up a program, building up a workbook. And it was really, really exciting to see that sort of come together and start to see my ideas come to fruition. So what I ended up with was, yeah, my workbook. I know this is back to front, so you'd have to bear with me. But look, I've ended up with loads. Really exciting. Loads of pages, loads of stuff. That didn't just happen overnight. That was the culmination of the effort of lots of different steps. So lots of steps in terms of, what was I going to write for you guys on my front page? Where was I going to start? Week 1. What was that going to look like? And I just started putting my ideas down on paper. I started to think about, what I wanted you to do on Facebook Lives. So, what are the key points that you're going to take away? What are the kind of thought prompts that you're going to have? What might you want to give some more thought to? And what are you actually going to do as a result of hearing that Facebook Live? So I started to build up every different section and think about what were the prompts that I could use to help you. Now that took longer than I expected, but I really wanted to make it something that was amazing, that you could really get your teeth stuck into. But it was the result of many different kind of half an hour blocks or, a couple of hours with post-it notes, actually taking that time and effort to do it. And I could never have sat down and written this all in one go. It just wouldn't have been, achievable for me. It might be achievable for some people, but it wouldn't have been achievable for me. And I found that by actually consistently taking the steps towards where I want to be, I achieved completion. And I was at the stage where I was nearly complete, and I was away in Manchester for a weekend, and I thought to myself, should I bring my tablet or should I leave it at home? And I thought, what, I might just get an hour or so's downtime, and I can just kind of make those finishing touches to the workbook. So I took my iPad with me, and on the Sunday morning we had a little bit of quiet time, and so I thought to myself, I'm going to get the pad out, and I'm going to look and just see where I can just add a little bit of content. And I suddenly realised I was much further on than I had in my head, and that sense of perspective was really powerful. So I spent half an hour really focused on it, and guess what, I was pretty much done then. And it was so exciting, and just that little final step really accelerated towards me. So as I say, now what we've got is a massive workbook, and you can see, I'll give you a little sneaky peek. So here you go, these are all the pages that are in the workbook. I know they look blank from where you're sitting, but they will give you an idea of everything that's in. But then guess what, I took it a stage further, and actually what I wanted to do was to make it really beautiful, really easy to work with. So here, and again, this is going to be backwards, but this is what the workbook looks like now. So I know you've got a bit of reflection there. But now we've upped the level. We've taken another stage further, and we're actually maybe making the workbook come to life for you right now. So here is what it will look like. Here's some sneaky peeks. And this is what I'm really happy about, because for me it is about those small steps, and I really wanted to prompt you to think about the online program and focus on me and how you're going to take those small steps for you. So look, I've even put a little page in there that says my 1 small steps, and 1 for each day of the week, and you can tick it when you're done. How cool is that? So this is all about those small steps and the effect of all those things compounded over time to bring you results. You do not suddenly turn up at the gym on day 1 and expect to be fit and toned and muscular. It takes months of effort and action and turning up, and even when you think it's not making a difference, nothing's happening, I'm not seeing the effects, month 1, you're probably just going to feel a bit more tired than you would do normally. Everything feels a bit harder. Month 2, you're getting maybe more into the swing of it. Month 3, you might start to feel a bit more energized. You might start to notice the results. By the time you get to month 6 and month 12 of that consistent action, showing up for yourself, you will start to see the results. Other people will start to see the results. The results will speak for themselves. So have a think about what you want to do, and become aware of what are those small steps that you can do every day. That could be saying no to a biscuit, saying no to a piece of cake. I know some time ago when I was in training for a big endurance event, I decided that I was going to be very sensible with my eating habits, and I decided that I wasn't going to ban cake completely because that was unrealistic for me, but I was going to choose my cake wisely. So if it was birthdays and things like that for work, then I would maybe indulge, but I would look at the cake and decide, is that cake worth the calories to me? Is it worth the kind of the breaking of the clean eating? And I made that my mission, I guess, to make that informed choice. So it's not about being super strict with yourself, but it's just about what are those steps that are going to take you on that journey.